From Software's notoriously difficult action RPG Dark Souls has become a phenomenon over the past few years. A series that seems inaccessible to most people due to its crushing difficulty and lack of direction. Yet it still manages to be a huge success in the gaming industry. The Dark Souls series in total, not counting Bloodborne, has sold over 8.5 million copies. That might be pretty small compared to some games like Call of Duty selling in the billions, but for such a niche game it's doing fantastic. Now, the point of this video isn't to talk about why Dark Souls is popular, as much as an insight to why people think it's so amazing. The first thing you're likely to hear about Dark Souls is its horrid difficulty. And I don't mean horrid in a bad way, I mean it's really, really hard. Every time you talk to someone, they're going to say, "This is the hardest game ever, this isn't your Kirby the Hedgehog, get good." Or something along those lines. But are we ignoring some of the other amazing design elements of the game in favor of placing its difficulty as a sales pitch? Let's put the difficulty on the back line and talk about some of Dark Souls' other unique elements and design decisions. First, let's talk about the thing that can make or break an atmospheric RPG like this. Well, its atmosphere. First is capitalizing on the word dark. In the title Dark Souls. Darkness is a physical object in the Dark Souls universe. Now, what can darkness be used for in that case? Well, everything. Darkness is terrifying, because it's the one thing that you cannot defeat. In this universe, darkness can be consumed for power. Darkness can consume the proudest of men and create a mindless zombie knowing only of death. Darkness can be used as a physical weapon in the form of hexes. In the dark, you're always alone. In Dark Souls, you're always alone. Well, minus the constant invaders and sun brethren signs all over the floor. So, how do you deal with this? With what little light you have and what little hope you can cling to. Bonfires represent small points of hope along your journey. Do you notice that feeling of relief you have when you're out of Estus and lost in darkness only to find a bonfire that soothes your worries? That's intentional. The largest example of light being Anor Londo. When I had taken out the sun for the first time, the first thought I had was, holy shit, I blew up the sun. Following that was the thought of, did I make a mistake? Is the game permanently dark? Then I immediately rebooted the game in hopes to retract my decision, only to find out that it saved right after I had made it. At that moment, I felt dread come over me at the thought of playing the rest of the game in absolute darkness. That area gives you a choice. You can live in the small illusion that is what we comprehend, or we can be brave and foolish and face the dark head on. No one knows what's in the dark, leading to a lack of knowledge. And this leads to the game's unique storytelling. Now, to be honest, I'm not a fan of Dark Souls-style storytelling. I much prefer the 30-minute to an hour cutscene Xenogears gave me as a child. But Dark Souls will only tell you things in bits and pieces. Most of the time, you're lucky if an NPC has over 5 lines of dialogue to explain to you what's going on. Thematically, this makes sense. Everyone is absolutely terrified of going anywhere due to all of the danger that exists within the universe. Hey, so do you know how to get to the catacombs? Man, have you seen the shit that's happening down there? There's like a Skeleman, a Pokemon, some guy with a liberal arts degree. You don't want to go down there, just stick here with me at Firelink. Forever. And ever. And ever. No thanks. I think I'll just go ask Mr. Phallus Snake over there. You have to figure out everything by yourself. Now, the current Dark Souls universe is much more established due to some awesome YouTubers taking time to research the lore and make conjectures about it. A lot of what we assume was not intended to be the plot of the game, but I think this is what From Software wanted. They wanted the players to write the story of Dark Souls. They gave us a brief outline and the community formed a story. That is one of the most amazing parts of the series. The best thing that I compare the Souls series to story-wise is Silent Hill. In Silent Hill, the story is focused on you and atoning for a sin, coming to peace with yourself. Most of the other characters being there to create a symbolic meaning for all of the characters in Silent Hill, and they are very brief, and create an odd tension between the player and that person. You can't really trust them all, but they're all there, so you kinda have to trust some of them. Needless to say, all of those characters are here to bring the main character to understand himself. Well, in Dark Souls, it's the opposite way around. You are the most blank slate, random undead that is listening to everyone else's story. You may be chosen, but you're just another viewer. You're actually pretty insignificant, and that insignificance is what brings significance to the game. Another thing that makes the Souls series so special is its mechanics to combat. Why is Dark Souls hard in the first place? It's really not. Initially it is. After playing Dark Souls 1 and 2 a few times through, the games become much easier. This is not because the game is hard and impossible unless you're a veteran with thousands of hours under your belt. You don't really grind out skill. There's a weapon in Dark Souls 1 called the Drake Sword that you can acquire early through means I don't think they intended you to be able to do. It makes the beginning of the game a lot easier than it should be. But sure, the Drake Sword will help for a while, but when it falls off, you won't have trained your own mental endurance to last through the Ornstein and Smog boss fight. This game doesn't require unrealistic reaction times. In fact, compare something like Dark Souls 1 to Monster Hunter, and you'd be baffled at how much a G-rank Devil Joe can make Artorias seem like a baby due to the lack of invincibility frames. With each game, FromSoft has improved on various mechanics and found new ways to challenge veteran players. For example, in my Let's Play of Dark Souls 3, I get my ass kicked various times by normal-looking knights. Their moveset is so varied that it's hard to see what they will do next. When you try to go around for the backstab, they will shield bash your face or turn faster than you. In fact, to this moment, I'm still clueless as to how to properly fight them. I can't just circle strafe like I did for the past 3 games and defeat every humanoid enemy in the game. It's trial and error. The fights aren't unrealistically hard. That's why I recommend you should play the games in order. Your skills will build on top of each other, creating a steady base for the more advanced mechanics in later games. So next time you convince someone to play Dark Souls 3, 1, 2, or even Demon Souls, don't just stand there and tell them it's hard. Tell them about the mysterious universe, the beautifully crafted combat mechanics, and just the overall setting. So if you liked this video, please leave a thumbs up in the description. If you want to check out my current playthrough of Dark Souls 3, which is blind, I'll leave a link in the description. I hope some of you do. It's a real fun blast to do. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good day. Riding out.